Hey everybody, so today I am going to do a 4 months and 5th month of the grieving process and the adjustment process of Levi having been home with us since when he came to our house in beginning of March of 2020. So this was June and July of 2020, and during this time he is 20 months and then he turned 21 months in July. So I am going to do an update on this. And I'm so sorry that our videos are taking forever because you know, we live in Atlanta, Georgia, and the weather here during summertime, it is brutally hot and humid, and that's okay. But they have so many bugs and mosquitoes out during that time. And our kids, like this summer, it was like 90-some degrees almost every day. And the kids are like, we do not want to play outside. So we've been home, you know, especially with COVID, like we can't even go to like playhouses or like play dates. And so we did go on like a couple of play dates, but like very, you know, minimum. So as soon as the weather cleared up, we have been just going all over within driving distance to all the national parks nonstop. So we have been just driving, traveling nonstop, and just being out in the nature as much as we can, trying to just get an overload of nature everywhere we go. And so we haven't had time to work on the videos, we haven't had time to edit them, and so I'm gonna do 4th and 5th month today. The reason why I am doing this together is because the grieving and adjustment period of 4th and 5th month is very similar and not too much difference. So that's why I'm just doing a combination of both. So I wanted to use this board today to explain some stuff, okay? I have read different comments, and it seems like a lot of people are like, why is he not changing? Like, how long is he gonna be having these behavioral issues and things like that? And, you know, something must be wrong. And, you know, honestly, you may be right, and I don't know, okay? But I just wanted to explain the stages of grieving somewhat for future adoptive parents, because I think it's so important that you understand this. And the reason why I'm doing like each month grieving process is to show you like how long things can take. And this is just personally our story. So your story may be very different. Maybe your process stages of grieving might be faster or slower or harder or easier, but this is our story, and hopefully you can compare notes with us. So when he came, of course, he was in complete denial, okay? The first 1 week or 2 weeks, he was in denial. I told you, like, he was like pleasant, you know, and so other than, you know, waking up 50 times a night. So we were thinking, wow, like this is kind of strange, because why is he not grieving? Why is he not looking for a foster mom? You know, we kept asking ourselves that question, but we found out that actually in adoption, there is a term called the honeymoon stage. And what that is it's just like when you're married, you have a honeymoon stage, and during honeymoon stage, the baby is kind of on a more of an observation mode, okay? Of course, he's shocked to be plucked from where he is, and then, you know, he's with you, but then there's a new house, new toys, new face, new, you know, people. And so, you know, the kids, like, they get like excited when they are at new places. And so it's kind of, they're in a denial. And so that is the honeymoon stage, and we had that. And then the depression, sadness, crying, and withdrawal. And I have explained about the withdrawal, how he doesn't really come to us. He will only come to us when he, you know, feels competitive with Seth and Ezra, and he, you know, just to, I guess, annoy them sometimes, he will just come but never lean in, you know, to like our chest, and he will always like sit very stiff on our lap. Then comes the anger, acting out, anxiety, and things like that. And I have to say that from that honeymoon stage till 4th and 5th month, we are at this stage. The anger, we are actually having anger of acting out, anxiety, lots of rebellion, lots of defiance. The crying, we are still having the withdrawal at this stage, and the crying, it's not the sadness crying, it is an anger crying. So it's very just like scream cries, okay? And it's not like this, it's like, like, but then he'll like cry with no tears, and then that can go on average, that goes on for about 40 minutes. And not only that, he will just grab, if he can't get his way, whatever he wants. And when you say, no, Levi, like you cannot do that, then he will do that scream cry nonstop for 40 minutes, and then he will just grab whatever is near him and start throwing things. He'll come and punch you, kick you, bite you, including, you know, Seth and Ezra and things like that. So this time, you know, it is very difficult, and it is also very exhausting, I'm sure, for him, but also like very much for me too, okay, and the family. So that is what happens. By the way, I want you to know that this is not an exact stages of grieving on a normal grieving, but this is like more of an adoption grieving process, and I got this off of our adoption website. I think I did. That's where I got it. New Beginnings Adoption Agency website. So I just copied it to show you. You know, before we brought Levi home, if anyone had asked me, what does adoption mean to you? And then I would have said, oh, adoption is love. Adoption is family, or something like that. After I brought Levi home, if now he's been with us realistically, you know, reality-wise, he's been with us like almost 10 months now, even though I'm doing 4th and 5th month grieving. If someone were to ask me now, I would say adoption is reality for the adoptive parents and for the adoptee, okay? I think the whole world could say adoption is love, adoption is family, but for the adoptive parents and, you know, the adoptive child, especially during this first year or more, you know, first couple years, I think I cannot put it in a better word than reality. The reality of trauma, the reality of pain, the reality of being separated from the birth family. Even if the birth family was not a safe place to be with, or they may have been wonderful, loving people, but due to, you know, just tragic circumstance, adoption had to take place. And no matter what it is, on the birth family side, for the baby, you know, being separated from what he knows, you know, his birth mom and the family, that is a huge loss. So yeah, reality of trauma. These are the things that I would say. You know, I want to ask a future adoptive parents, how long do you think the grieving process should take? Because I think that's what many people want to know, and, you know, like, what is the progress on Levi and many other adopted babies. And this is how I think, okay? And this is just my personal opinion. I am not a therapist. So Levi has gone through 3 separation. You know, he came home to us when he was 16 months. Now he is, like, in about 2 weeks or so, he will be 25 months. He's over 2 years old now. But at 16 months, not even a year and a half of age, he has went through 3 major losses, okay? One is birth mother, you know, and then in Korea, you stay at the agency. There's a baby wing there. So he stayed there for about 3 months. And then after 3 months, when he was about 3.5 months old, he got placed into the foster care family for about a year. For about 13 months, I think. A little over a year, okay? And then he came to us. So in that short span of 16 months of life, he has gone 3 separate separations. Because at agency, baby wing, there is an agency mother, even though she can't hold babies because, you know, there's too many of them. the volunteers do come and hold babies as much as they can, but with COVID, everything stopped at a complete standstill. So, you know, but he is in that environment. You'd think a baby doesn't know anything, but of course they feel and they know things. So with this 3 separation, okay, let's say in 16 months of my life, I have lost 3 closest people to me, which is David, Seth, and Ezra, okay, before Levi came. Let's say I lose David, Seth, and Ezra in the span of 16 months. Like David goes first, and then Seth, and then Ezra. What do you think is a fair time frame that I should be grieving for? And I think that is how I think about when I think about adoptees' grieving process when they first come home. I think for me, okay, realistically, I will be just like first 1 to 2 years, I think I will just be a complete zombie. And like, you know, maybe 2 years later, I would know that I need to pick up on life and live, and maybe I do pick up on life and live, but I'm just not there, mentally, emotionally, just not there. And then afterwards, I do pick up on life and I keep living, but the amount of pain, the amount of ache in my heart, I think it will be so great. Now, let's say that if I ever remarried, okay, and then I had more children, is that, and no matter how great of a person, you know, that I remarried to, and I had more children and they're adorable and cute or whatnot, do you think the ache that I have over the loss of David and Seth and Ezra, do you think that will ever disappear in my heart? And I can tell you right off the bat, like, till the day I die, there will always be some kind of, you know, like just longing, pain, and ache in my heart, okay, when I think about these 3 loved ones that I have lost. And I think that's like adoption, okay? I think many times we're like, when is this adoptive child gonna get over it? Like, when are they? And then like, I have seen, you know, many comments where that I really appreciate the adoptive parents who have raised adoptive children, and now the children are all grown up. You know, I have read a handful of comments where they said, you know, the grieving may never stop. Like, my children are adults now and they are still grieving. I have a friend, her mom was adopted and her mom is 60, and my friend says, my mom is still grieving and she's 60, you know, she has been adopted 60 years ago. And I think that is completely normal, because it's just like what I said. You have lost someone so close to you, and that longing and that ache is always going to be there. And because of this, I have also seen where so many adoptees said when they grew up and they reunited with their birth family and got to know them, majority was a very you know, positive reunion, and the healing in their heart started taking place, okay, that ache in their heart. And so because of that, for us, Levi one day reuniting with his family, birth family, and getting to know them, rebuilding a relationship with them is very important for us. And that is also why we are so set on teaching him about Korean culture, Korean food, Korean language, so that we want to make the transition so easy for him. And I mean, it's not going to be easy no matter what, okay? But whatever that can happen to help that transition a little bit smoother for him, and, you know, to be able to rebuild that relationship without a translator, that is very important for us. So do I expect Levi, no matter how good we are to him, no matter how loving we are to him, you know, as he grows up and as he is our son and, you know, brother to Seth and Ezra, do we expect, you know, some kind of grieving to be always there? Yeah, my answer is yes. And of course, God will heal him. I believe that. But, you know, there is just something so sad the loss of your loved one, whether it's a parent or child. So I believe that's going to happen. Okay, so today I wanted to update you on Levi's progress, okay? By his 5th month, what is going on, okay? These are some positive stuff that's been happening in our life, in his life. And number one is when he first came home, you know, at 16 months, he was only able to speak 1 to 2 to 3 words, like 엄마, mom, Appa, dad, 물, water, like just something very simple. By 5th month, he is able to speak about 80 to 90% in complete sentence in Korean. And we only allow our children to speak in Korean at home. That is how I grew up. That is how David grew up. And this is absolutely a must for us because, like I just said, that Levi, especially for Levi, he must read, speak, and write Korean fluently. And part of the reason is that one day, you know, when he grows up, or you know, reuniting with his birth family and getting to know them and rebuilding that relationship up. So Seth and Ezra, you know, we really want them to grow up bilingual, trilingual, same with Levi, but that's, you know, one aspect. So his Korean, I mean, it is amazing the amount of things that he can say, and he will not just speak in Korean, but he will try to reason with you. I can tell you straight off the bat that Levi is very, very, very smart. Just the way things that, you know, he does, or when he plays, or yeah, he is very smart. And one interesting aspect about Levi is I found out that he's a left-handed, you know, and when he eats with left hand. Then I see him eat with his right hand, so he can use both hands very well, but he's mostly left-handed. You know, up to 3 months, he was waking up at night about 8 times a night, okay? Every night, 8 times a night. Then come end of 4th month, he went from 8 times a night waking up to about 6 times of waking up at night. And then by end of 5th month, he has been waking up about 4 times a night, sometimes 5 times a night, but on average about 4 times a night. So sleep has definitely improved. Also during this time, like end of 5th month, he stopped taking pacifier. You know, we would clip on that pacifier on him all the time, and one day he just didn't want it anymore, and he just took it out and then just threw it on the ground, and he didn't want it anymore. And when he was sleeping, I would put it on him, and again he just like took it out and just flung it, and he never needed it. So that's something huge, because that was his like #1 comfort, you know, for babies. Pacifier or sucking the thumb. Seth and Ezra were thumb suckers, and then Levi is a passy, and he just stopped taking it altogether. So these are some pros that we have been seeing. And I told you, Levi loves our family worship time. He loves to sing, and above all, he loves to pray, okay? And in fact, every worship, he, like, you know, when Seth prays, or sometimes I pray, or sometimes Ezra prays, like after whoever prays and we are about to get up, like Levi will say in Korean, Namil didn't pray, like I did not pray. So that we all get back down, and then he prays, and then he's happy. And then even when we're eating, this is kind of cute. Okay, so you know, he eats a lot. I told you, food obsession, okay? So after first serving, he wants another bowl. Second serving, he wants another bowl. So he will eat like 3 to 4 bowls, right, of rice. With every bowl that's given him, he will pray. And I tell Levi, like, you can just pray once, like when we start eating, but when anytime new bowl is put in front of him, he will pray out loud, which is very cute. And then also when I'm driving, okay, anytime we're about to go from point A to point B, like we pray in the car. And sometimes I'm just backing out the car out of the garage, so then once I close the garage door, you know, we pray and we can be on our way. And anytime I start backing the car out, he gets so upset, and he will tell me in Korean, "엄마, you did not pray." And so I'm like, okay, so mommy's gonna pray, and then I will pray, and then I will say, okay, amen, and then I back out more, and then he gets so upset and he will say, Namir didn't pray. So he will pray all the time. So for the 4th month and 5th month, it's pretty much similar as the 2nd month grieving and 3rd month grieving. And if you are, if you don't remember for adoptive parents, you can go back and, watch those. But the food obsession, the pooping, the hitting, biting, all that, it's still pretty much the same. There is so much anger, so much defiance. And remember, I showed you that chart of the grieving process, and I think that was like the anger that was on the 3rd, the 3rd from the top. And so by 4th and 5th month, it's still all there. Even frequency, it's pretty frequent, and we are dealing with, actually I feel like it's just getting more and more defiant and rebellious, and that has been so incredibly challenging. The screaming is the most stressful part for me, when he can't get his way, just kicking, screaming. But then I told you, like, minimum 40 minutes, like 40 minutes, and like I am just so frazzled, like I can't even, it's just so frazzling because he's so loud, and this goes on non-stop. And so that has been just very stressful for me overall. And of course, the non-stop destroying, that is also one big thing that has been going on non-stop. And actually, I think I told you on 2nd or 3rd month that it seems like, from my observation, it seems like he cannot just let anything be in order. When he sees anything in order, it drives him nuts. Like, it just bothers him so much. So I'm gonna, for example, like babies, there is a stage for toddlers when they love to break crayons, okay? Levi, what he'll do is, he will get Seth's crayons, and most babies will just, break the crayons into half and just walk away. But what Levi does is he will peel every crayon, and then he will not break it into half, but he will break into little pieces, little bitty of pieces, to the point that the pieces are so small that Seth can't use it, period. And same with color pencils. You've seen those color pencils where you twist the back and then more and more comes out. So he twists everything and he gets every, color pencil out, and then he will break them in every little piece, so it's impossible to use them anymore. So about 8 boxes of crayons, color pencils we've gone through. I've had to throw them out and then keep ordering new ones from Amazon. So that's also, and then like Legos, for example, there was a stage for Ezra when Seth would make these Lego figures, Ezra would go and break them. But most toddlers, what they do is, if Seth makes, and we're talking about the small Legos, not like the chunky ones for like 1-2-year-old. We're talking about like for 4 or 5-year-old, the little ones, okay? So the little ones, Seth will make them, and then Ezra will just, when was little, Ezra would just be like boom, boom, in like 2-piece or 1-piece, and he would just break it and walk away. But what Levi does is he gets every Lego piece out, and then like the little ones, like if there's 2 right on top of one another, it's, even for adults, it's very hard to take that off. But what Levi will do is, even down to that last 2, he cannot bear to see that in order. So he'll put it in his mouth, bite it off, and then take that piece off. So of course, like by now, 5th month, Seth is like, I told you, like first 3 months, 3.5 months, Seth was just anything. He was so generous to Levi, but now he is getting tired of it, and he will just so pitifully cry, because Seth will make like this beautiful figures with his Lego, airplanes or whatnot, and then Levi will just break all the Lego pieces down to nothing, like literally down to nothing. So that kind of destroying thing, and throwing stuff, toilet, like everything is still the same. The non-stop movement is still the same, and the pooping so many times a day, is still the same. Anywhere between 7 to 10 times a day he will poop because he's eating non-stop all day long. And also now that he can speak better, he speaks so much better, I've noticed that I don't know where he gets this, because we don't, as I told you, we don't show our kids TV really. Because we haven't been able to go to church due to COVID, we do online church, so like children's program or like children's Bible story, so we will do that. And when we do that, sometimes, or when we're doing Bible stories during our worship hour, we'll talk about like David and Goliath. David put slingshot and then his wing, 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 tung, and then, Goliath fell, or the bear fell, or whatnot. And I have noticed that Levi will just pick up on those negative words and he will use it, to us, to me, to the kids. So like Seth and Ezra, they didn't do that, but I don't know. Levi will be like, if I say, Levi, like, no, you cannot touch the toilet, then he will get so mad at that, screaming, crying, like, throwing stuff nonstop during 40 minutes. And then while doing it, he will start screaming, I am going to slingshot you. I am going to punch you. I am going to... And I just don't know where he gets all this, because we don't use those words at home, And so, due to COVID, we haven't really been having play dates. We'll have limited play dates, but the children that we play with don't use those words. We've been playing with like 2 to 3 other kids at max. And another aspect that we have been seeing and dealing with a lot is very, very me-centered, okay? And yes, all children, all toddler go through this stage a little bit, but of course, with Levi's, it's a lot more intense. And it's, I think this very me-centeredness, like everything is about me, 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 me. I need to have the best place, or I need to sit at the best place. I need to eat the best one. I need to have the most ones. So the best and the most, he needs to have it all the time, non-stop. And just because some parents might say, oh, my baby did that, but that's not true, okay? Because I go on a lot of play dates before this COVID happened, and children, even at very young age, like 9 months, 10 months, 12 months, there are very, very sweet children. They will share, they will, be loving. Of course, all kids are selfish, self-centered here and there, but not all kids are like that. But where I saw this most was when I was volunteering at an orphanage in Korea for about 1.5 years. That is in our episode 1, I talk about that. And there, even like the youngest ones, where they just started crawling, where they just started walking, the orphanage, anytime, there was anything, like, they would just all dive in and grab it. And it was because it's like a survival of the fittest, okay? There is no mom defending you saying, no, this is my child is getting it. So if you don't get that yourself, you can't survive. And Levi is showing a lot of these, like, very intense, like very me-centered. And in fact, when I stayed in Tennessee with my parents for 2 months, my parents kept asking me, are you sure Levi did not grow up in the orphanage? Because all these, like symptoms that he's showing, it's very much what you see at the orphanage. And I would tell them, no, like, trust me, he did not grow up in the orphanage. But I was confused myself, because so many of his behavioral issues were just what I had witnessed for 1.5 years while volunteering at the orphanage. And I think, from my just understanding, is Levi just came to our house, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and he has not built that trust up with us yet, okay? So he doesn't know if even though we have been taking care of him well and giving him everything that he's been asking for, he is still unsure, can I trust these people? Because he has been separated 3 times, you know, birth family, agency mother, foster mother. And so because of that, I think he feels a need that he must take care of himself. And in order to do that, he needs to dive in and get the best ones, you know, the most and things like that. And so the lack of trust, I think that's bringing a lot of the me-centeredness in it, in like every area of life, like every couple of minutes. And that is not easy to deal with, I can tell you, but that is a heart issue and that's going to take time, and I understand that, but at the same time it is not easy to deal with at all. Another thing that I have seen is from as soon as the honeymoon stage was over was the and I think more and more as the time is going, it's negative attention seeking. It's attention seeking, but it's not done in a positive way at all. It's, you know, in a very negative way. So for example, any way to get our attention where he will look good and where Ezra and Seth will look bad, he will do that. And you know, that can be pretty exhausting, okay? Because as a mom, you try your best to balance each child. And honestly, I can tell you right off the bat that I haven't been really able to focus on Seth and Ezra at all during up to the 5th month. And now I look back like 10 months later, I feel bad because I haven't been able to focus on Seth and Ezra because Levi's behavior has just taken like 99.99% of all my energy and everything. But even then, the jealousy and the insecurity that he has, I think these are the things that's bringing this negative attention seeking. And for example, he will do whatever it takes so that like we are only speaking to him, only communicating with him, and to the point that we cannot even talk to Seth and Ezra. So I'm gonna give you an example. Like anytime I ask Seth and Ezra, like just a simple question, you know, hey Seth, where did you put this? Hey Ezra, like, do you want to eat something? And of course, like I give food to each kid. I give, you know, when we order a toy, we will get the exact same one for all 3. Like we want to make sure that they feel this fairness. But any question I ask Seth and Ezra, Levi will run up, and before they can say anything, they will push them out of my way and come right to my face and answer. So for example, like, hey Ezra, do you want to play with this toy? And then he will just push Ezra, come right to my face, and will say, Namir wants to play with the toy. Or same thing with food. Same thing with like, oh Seth, should we go to the playground and play with, you know, like whoever? And then Levi will come push Seth away and come right in front of my face and say, Namir wants to go to the playground. It's almost like, and then the things that he will do is, you know, I told you he's very smart. So if he wants something, he will, like for example, he'll look at the kitchen counter and then he'll want something. And what he'll do is he'll get Ezra, you know, he can speak almost full complete sentence, and he'll get Ezra and he'll say, Ezra, look at that. And of course Ezra's like, oh yeah, that's great, I want that. And then Levi will say to him, you want that? And Ezra's like, yeah. Levi will quickly run in the dining room. He will grab a chair, drag it to the kitchen counter and put it right next to the kitchen counter. And I have heard him over and over say to Ezra, Ezra, why don't you get up and get that? And Ezra's like, okay. Like, so Ezra and Seth has never done it, like where they will drag the chair and go up and get stuff. Like, but Ezra's like, okay, like he doesn't think twice about it. And then he goes up, and then I watch, you know, from a distance to see what happens, what is happening like during this time. And then I will, just as Ezra's going for it, I will come out and say, Ezra, you know, like, you know you're not supposed to do that. And immediately Levi, who's standing right in front of the chair, he will look at me and say, Mom, Nami didn't go up, but Ezra went up, so Ezra needs a timeout. Like things like that. It's very negative. Do you know what I'm saying? So whatever he can do to raise himself in our eyes, but then put Ezra and Seth down, this is going on constantly at home. Any attention we give Seth and Ezra, he gets very, very upset. So, for example, let's say, you know, they're all eating, and then, you know, because we eat rice and like soup and side dishes so much as our main diet, the kids are eating rice, and then the last one spoon is kind of hard for kids to grab, like from all, you know, the whole rice bowl. So I will, like the last spoon, I will just grab it and then put it in the spoon, and then I will say, okay, Ezra, here, mommy will feed you the last spoon, so here you go. And then the moment I feed Ezra that one spoon, Levi, who is eating very well with both hands, you know, left-handed, right-handed, he will get so mad. He will throw that spoon across the table and his high chair and the table, and he will say, you feed Namir too. And I would say, okay, you know, I have no problem feeding you, but that is not how you behave. You do not throw anything across the table, and you do not yell at mom. Like, that is not acceptable, Levi. And, but, you know, if this happens once in a while, that's okay. But it's exhausting because any little attention we give Seth and Ezra, he gets so upset. But at the same time, like, he just wants that 24-hour attention on himself. So that can be pretty, you know, difficult. And for example, let's say we're going out and I put shoes on Levi. Then I'm grabbing my stuff. 2 minutes later, I sit Ezra down and I'm putting shoes on Ezra. And then the moment he sees that I am giving Ezra attention putting shoes on him, he gets so upset. Levi gets so upset. And even though just 2 minutes prior I had put shoes on him, he will take the shoes off and throw it across the room and say, you put the shoes on me. So things like that. It's just constantly happening all day long. And, you know, like I said, many moms will say, oh yeah, that's normal. You know, like my biological children did that. Seth, you know, and Ezra, they had some of that, but probably like 10% of what, like if Levi is 100% of that, then Seth and Ezra did that like 10%. So I think what it is no matter how we are fair, and even though it seems like to me 99.9% of energy is going towards Levi, to the point that it's hard to focus on Seth and Ezra because of all these behavioral issues that's happening all day long. Levi just can't stand, you know, to see any affection being given. And so if it happens once in a while, like I said, it's, you know, not that bad. But when it's happening like every minute, sometimes like every 30 seconds, it's hard. It's hard to deal with, okay? At the same time, while this is going on, he is copying non-stop what Seth and Ezra does. Now Seth not as much, and Seth is, you know, so much older. You know, at 5 he can read and he has homeschool, like he's studying. So, but with Ezra and Levi, they're only like 11 months and some days apart. So they're more, you know, constant like playing with each other, than they fight over a toy. And I told you, it's like love-hate relationship all the time. At the same time, he will copy Ezra non-stop all day long. Ezra had a stage when he did this, but nowhere near. Like, for example, if Seth wanted a Band-Aid, Ezra will say, I want a Band-Aid. You know, like things like that here and there. Yeah, it happens. I've seen plenty of kids do that. But this is like, for example, if Ezra says something, Levi says exact same thing. If Ezra walks 3 steps, Levi walks 3 steps. If Ezra fell because he was running fast, then Levi will feign like falling himself. Or not Ezra fainting. If Ezra fell, then Levi will act like he's falling. And if just every little thing under the sun, he will copy Ezra to the max. And I will say to Levi, you don't have to copy everything that Ezra does. Like, Ezra is Ezra, you are you. You don't have to copy him, you know, like you guys are two different people. And of course he doesn't understand all this, but I am trying to affirm him. Like he doesn't have to do this, but he feels this need to constantly, you know, copy. And at the same time, he feels very competitive. So whatever, you know, the jealousy is so great. So if he sees that, like Seth will be reading a book and then he'll be like, oh, I should get water. And then Seth gets up to get water. Levi, he will be completely doing something else, disinterested in water. The moment he hears that Seth is gonna go and drink water, he will run and grab a water bottle that Seth was walking towards too and will keep drinking, but he will not share it. Like, it's almost like, you know, he will just put his mouth on even though he's not drinking just so that Seth can't get it. And same thing with Ezra, right? Like just so that Ezra can't get it. Ezra and Seth, if they are drinking and they see one of their siblings, like even Levi, you know, coming and waiting for water, they will quickly drink it and give it to them. We have many water bottles all over the house, but kids keep losing it and they put it all over the house and they can't find it. So they're just like select few at different locations, you know, and this is what they do. So, I know this is so strange, but it's almost like Levi gets like a kick out of it, he almost enjoys making them upset. And I think that has been very challenging as well. There is a book called The Connected Child, and that is like the Bible of adoption. Like every adoptive parents know about this book. Every adoptive parents are like pretty much required to read this book. And in this book, The Connected Child, they talk about eye contact, the importance of eye contact with your adoptive child. And when I read this, I thought, oh, I'm gonna look into my, you know, this newly adopted child, like in his eyes, like so lovingly. And I will say, I love you, Levi. Mommy loves you. Mommy, you know, is so happy that you came to our family. And do you know what I'm saying? Like all these loving words with loving look, this loving eye contact, that is what I thought was gonna happen. But I told you we are having so much defiance, anger, rebellion, things like that. And so the eye contact has been very challenging for me because, you know, like all the stuff that I said, plus anytime I make eye contact with him, he is defiantly looking at me. And for example, I will be washing the dishes and then I see Levi's hand go up to hit Ezra. Because at this time he's still like hitting, you know, kicking, biting a lot. And I will say over the counter as I'm washing the dishes, I will say, Levi, put your hand down. I'm making eye contact with him. No, no, mommy told you hitting is not good. Put your hand down. And as he is maintaining, like defiantly looking at me with that eye contact, he will start beating on Ezra. And usually like children, you know, they will just like hit once, like bonk the head once, but Levi doesn't. The anger he has, so much anger, he would just like punching Ezra, but he's not even interested in Ezra. He's just interested in like, it seems like, I don't know, even know if this is true, it seems like he's just interested in like hurting me, or, you know, like, it's almost like, you said don't hit it, well watch me. And this is all while he's maintaining the eye contact with me. And poor Ezra, he's just a victim, you know. And so this happens all day long, you know, like Levi, like don't throw that food from the table while maintaining that eye contact. So the theory you read in the book, you know, you think in one way, but when it happens, it just happens in a completely different way. And I'm gonna tell you, like, there came a point when I just did not enjoy making these eye contacts because it would not be pleasant at all, okay? And I believe that, you know, you as an adoptive parents, not all of you, but I'm sure, I am absolutely sure, like some of you will experience the same thing that I did. So my point in here is, just because a book has a good theory. Just because, you know, during this grieving process, those theories may not work. And you have to understand, when I think back on the last 7-8 months, it's just like a blur. Like, I don't even know what happened. I don't even know how I survived. I don't even know how he survived. Like, I just don't know what went on. And I know many of you are like, oh, Levi's so cute, Levi's so cute. I did not enjoy that cuteness at all. I did not have time to enjoy that cuteness. I did not have the energy or the capacity to enjoy that cuteness because of so much behavioral issues that was happening literally like every 5 to 10 seconds all day long. And it has been very challenging. We were in Tennessee with my parents for 2 months because of this whole COVID testing that David was doing in our medical office. And that 2 months was with my parents, it was so rough. Not just for me, but for my parents as well. My parents weren't sleeping at all. The whole family wasn't sleeping because I told you, Levi wasn't just crying at nighttime. When he's waking up 8 times a night, he's doing just a screaming. And the whole family would just wake up and we would just be like so exhausted throughout the day, all of us. And then the anger, defiance, everything. But it was so intense, you know, during that time. And poor, like my parents, like I feel so sorry for them. But in fact, they were like, we have never seen a child this size have so much anger in his body. And I had to agree with them. I have so many friends. You know, I'm an extrovert. I have so many friends. Those friends have 2 to 3 kids, and I met them like almost like 5 days a week before COVID happened. Different friends, different children. And yeah, there's all sorts of children, okay? Some are calm, some are sweet, some are active, some are a little bit, you know, difficult to deal with, and they would have temper tantrums, they would have their usual childish stuff, some a little more intense, some a little bit less, but I have never seen so much anger in that small body. And that is why I'm telling you that there is a clear distinction, even though they're toddlers and age-appropriate behavior or whatnot, there is a very clear distinction on wounded heart versus a non-wounded heart, and I really want to make that clear. We stayed in Tennessee with my parents for 2 months, and then eventually David stopped doing COVID testing because more testing sites opened up in Atlanta, so then we came back 4th month, and I'm doing 4th and 5th month update today, and I will tell you what my day has been like. It has been very hard, okay? He will wake up in the morning, Levi will wake up in the morning, and he doesn't cry, he will just scream. And what it is you come to my bed and you get me. But you know, all our kids sleep on the mat, on the floor, and usually Seth and Ezra will just run into our room and jump on the bed. But Levi, I told you, it's all about attention seeking at this time. So he'll be like, ah, 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 ah. And sometimes I'm in the bathroom in the morning, okay? And I'm using the bathroom. I can't get to him immediately right away. And he will do that scream non-stop. And then the moment he sees me, he will just stop screaming. Like as if he didn't scream all that time. And then I will tell him, Levi, like, did you have a good night? And he will say, yes. Then I will say, then why are you screaming? Levi, screaming like that to get attention is not a good thing. You know, if you slept very well, then, you know, you can come to mommy, and if not, you can call mommy. But screaming, you know, for that attention, that behavior, that is not a good thing. I will tell him that. And then he will be like, okay. He acts like nothing happened, and then he will get up and walk straight into the dining room, drag the chair next to his high chair, climb up on the chair, climb into his high chair, and then start hitting, you know. Pop, 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 pop means rice or food. So then I will tell him again, Levi, when you want rice, Like you ask mommy, use your words. And many moms, you know, many children do this temper tantrum, and moms always say, use your words, use your words, use your words. But I told you at this time, Levi is speaking very well, but it's just this like anger he has, you know, and I will give him food, and then if something just turns him off, like if something just makes him a little bit upset, then he will start just throwing the bowl, throwing the spoon, throwing the right, you know, and, but anyways, that he'll want more food when he comes down, like the rice. I don't know if you've cleaned rice before. It's sticky, so it's very difficult to clean, right? So the rice is all over his high chair, on the high chair table, and then the floor, and then because he was throwing while he was eating, because he got mad, the rice will be on the main table, and just cleaning all that up takes like 10 minutes, okay? So while I'm cleaning all that after him, you know, he's going and playing, I will hear, Mommy, Mommy, look what Levi did. And then I quickly clean, and then I run, and then I see that he's dumped out, he got a cup from somewhere and dumped out toilet water. By the way, we throw away quite a bit of cups during this time because just so disgusting, you know, like cups or whatever he used to grab toilet water. And so then toilet water is all over the bathroom floor. So then, you know, of course, like I have a talk with Levi. Sometimes I have to discipline him. But with toilet, by like the 4th and 5th month, I was like, I am tired. Because even in Tennessee, he was just, you know, just doing this toilet thing, like I told you, 10 to 12 times every single day, like without a fail, every single day. And I will just discipline him. And then while I'm cleaning the floor up, Mommy, 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 look what Levi did. And then as soon as I clean the toilet, I run and I see that he has, you know, dragged the chair, gone up the kitchen counter, thrown like dishes, and the dishes are cracked everywhere. Glass, you know, it's dangerous. So then I discipline him, you know, and then I tell Levi, this is so dangerous, like you guys can get hurt. So then I put him like out of the kitchen, I put the kids out of the kitchen, and I'm cleaning the whole kitchen floor, trying to get all the glass out. And then right when I'm finishing that up, Mommy, 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 and then I run, and then, you know, all the dresser, like the kids' dressers, he went through every dresser and he took all the clothes out. So then I go and I put all the clothes back. And while I'm finishing off that, it's another Mommy, Mommy, and then it's toilet again. Then while I'm cleaning the toilet again, it's like every 2-3 things that he does, like let's say toilet, dresser, you know, throwing the dish down. After I have cleaned like every 2-3 things, like let's say it takes me like 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, he will come, pop, 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 give me food, every 10 minutes, sometimes every 5 minutes. And then if I don't give it to him immediately because I'm still cleaning, it will get louder. Pop, 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 pop. And then if I'm still cleaning, he will get mad and he will start hitting me and, you know, punching me and kicking me. Pop, pop, pop. And until he gets his food. And then when he gets his food, even though he had 4 bowls of food, like not too long ago, the way he eats, it's like he's starved all day or something, and he will eat that so fast, like without even breathing, like just like eat it, and then he will want more, and then he will want more, and then of course, you know, he's still young, so there's food everywhere. So then as I'm cleaning, you know, it's again like all day long cleaning. So that is my day for 11 hours straight, non-stop. David usually leaves home around like 7:40 in the morning, and then he doesn't get home till almost 7 p.m. So, you know, there's a lunch break he has, and then he works, and after work he has to do phone calls with the patients, and, you know, like he has to, you know, do some paperwork so our staff can work on some stuff the next day. And so by the time he leaves work at 6 something, he will get home like almost 7. So when David walks in the door, I am like because that has been my day all day long. Non-stop cleaning, non-stop giving food, and then non-stop cleaning. And this is what I'm telling you, like I have not been able to give attention to Seth and Ezra. The only time I'm able to give Seth and Ezra attention is when Levi takes like 2-hour nap. But even that 2-hour nap, after he falls asleep, I'm cleaning stuff he did for the next like 20 plus minutes. And then finally when I'm done with that, like I have 1.5 hours to just fully focus on Seth and Ezra and read them stories or, you know, do whatnot. So it is so exhausting. It is a blur. And not just that, not just cleaning, not just feeding, not just cleaning again after feeding. It's that constant screaming all day long. Ah, 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 because maybe Seth and Ezra didn't, you know, give him what he wanted. Or maybe he was trying to break Seth's crayons again and Seth said, no, no, Levi, like you cannot break my crayon. Anytime he can't do what he wants to do, that screaming, that scream, like shrieking cry will go on for 40 minutes. So that physical cleaning nonstop, and then that mental crying scream nonstop for 11 hours straight, I am done. Like, it's not that I don't want to give anymore when David comes home. I am incapable of giving anything more physically and emotionally because I am so exhausted on every level. And then, you know, then David will eat dinner, you know, and kids, and then David will play with them for a little bit while I'm cleaning. And by the time, you know, the kids, most kids will go to bed at 6:30 to 7 p.m. They are in bed by then, most household, okay? And I will tell you, if you're a newly adoptive parent and this is your first child, most kids do not see their dads during the week at all. Why? Because dads go to work before they wake up and the kids are asleep before the dad comes home. We are single moms during the weekdays because our husbands are just at work, and that's not their fault, okay? One person has to work, but that is a normal household. But we used to do that, but then David was like, I really want to spend time with them. That's really good, but now that's just lengthening my day by another 2-3 hours, okay? And by the time we finally put the kids down around 9:30, remember my day started from like 7 a.m. all day long, this nonstop thing. Seth and Ezra will fall asleep. We will lay next to them until all of them fall asleep and come to our room here. But Levi, even at 9:30, even at 10 p.m., it's completely dark. We turn all the lights off. We lay next to our kids. Levi will constantly get up from the bed and start walking around in dark all over the house. And David and I will constantly have to get up and grab him, come back to bed, lay him down. And then he will get up again and go. And in dark, we have to go and grab him. And this nonstop, by the time he falls asleep, it's like 10 o'clock, 10:30. You know, his brain is going nonstop. So by the time we get back into our room, I am like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm gonna die. And then, of course, even him sleeping, that's short lasting, right? Because after an hour and a half, every 2 hours, he's waking up nonstop all night long. And so that has been the pattern for, you know, I'm doing 5 months updates. So that has been the pattern for 5 months straight. And I will tell you, it's, I started having like health issues. And, you know, I'm not blaming Levi or anything like that, but this pure exhaustion, I started experiencing 3 things. Number 1 is I would wake up due to this loud noise, not just from Levi crying, but loud noise. And then I would get up and I would find that I'm grinding my teeth so hard that like I actually have like pieces in my mouth that I can feel. And then like, I mean, yeah, my teeth are bad right now. And then another thing that I have been experiencing is because of lack of sleep, because of lack of rest, my eyes, I don't know if it's drying out or whatnot, but it's just like, it's gotten better now at 10 months, you know, but it would just flutter nonstop. The eyelids like flutter, 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 and I can't control it. The last thing that I was experiencing was the shaking of hands. And I've never had this in my life before. And you know, my family, we are very, like, we get sick and we're like, body will heal itself. Like, we never go to the doctor. And the hand thing, at first I thought I was just imagining, like I was on the phone and my hand was shaking and I was like, like I must be imagining, like this is not real. But it kept going on for about 10 days and I would be washing the dishes and then the dishes would be shaking. And then we bought a new piano, and the first, like 10 days after, I didn't say anything to David because I just kept waiting. I don't know what is going on, but it will stop eventually. And I got on to play the new piano and my hands were shaking so hard I could not play the piano. And so I tried again. I tried 10 times on that new piano, and I got up because I just could not play the piano anymore. But I contacted David at work. I texted him and I said, you need to make an appointment for me with a neurologist ASAP. I think something terrible is going on with me. And he came home and he's like, actually, you know, like, after he listened to everything and he like saw me shaking, like he was like, actually that's like, that happens because of something he said, but it's due to high level of anxiety and lack of sleep. And I don't have anxiety. I've never suffered from depression. I've never suffered from anxiety, but he asked me and I said, yeah, I mean, of course I'm not getting any sleep the last 5 months straight. And as for high anxiety, yeah, I started developing this very high anxiety because at night when I'm laying down, I can't fall asleep. Like I can't do deep sleep because I don't know when I'm gonna be woken up by like shrieking screams. So I have that anxiety. And then during the day, anything, it's like walking on ice like with Levi just because I don't want to hear that shrieking screams for 40 minutes. Like, I know when he does something wrong, I know, you know, I need to step in and like, you know, discipline or whatnot, but I hated dealing with that just shrieking sound for 40 minutes. It was just so stressful for me. It stressed me out so much to hear him just shriek and scream for 40 minutes. And so anytime he would start screaming, like I would just have such high level of anxiety. Or I'm cleaning the toilet and then as soon as I hear something Ezra say, "Mommy," I would have another anxiety. It's like, oh, what did he do this time? Like, you know, and then I would go and then I would see more like mess or more breaking and, you know, baby proofing thing. Like we have baby proofed our house pretty well, but he would even break our baby proofing things. Like he's very strong. I don't even know how he does it. We put a gate on the staircase and 5 years that gate has been intact, but Levi came and he wanted to get in and he was just shaking nonstop. He's very, you know, his perseverance is great. And he eventually broke that gate. So stuff like that was going on nonstop. And I told David, I do have high level of anxiety now and I don't know what to do. And from then on, David, like on weekends, he was like, okay, like you need to catch up on your sleep on weekends. Like weekdays, you know, like I need to work, so I need to sleep, but on weekends you sleep in. So like Saturday morning, Sunday morning, he will cook kids breakfast, he will feed them, he will, you know, do everything so I can sleep in. And then later in the afternoon, he will get some rest. So we take turns doing that. But yeah, it has been very, very challenging, very, very rough. And maybe your baby's grieving will be completely different from ours. But I can tell you right off the bat that no matter what age you bring the baby home, there is going to be some kind of grieving. I have a friend, she messaged me and she said, you know, she had adopted a domestic adoption baby at 1 month old. So like just an infant, you know, like 4 weeks old baby. And she said, Esther, like I watched your YouTube video and I want you to know that we have experienced very similar stuff as you have been experiencing, even though we had got him at 1 month old. And then she later told me that her caseworker told her, even if you bring the baby home straight from the hospital, as soon as mom gives birth and like 2-3 days later, you go to the hospital, you bring that like 3-day-old baby home, you will still have those grieving process, like in a different form or in a same form. But because what the caseworker told her was, the baby has been in mother's womb for 9 months, and it's attached to mom's smell, mom's voice, you know, mom's just, you know, everything, that comfort of that mom. And then even though the baby is so young, only 3 days old, the baby is so aware. And when he is detached from that smell of his birth mom, you know, everything of that birth mom, he goes through deep grieving. So I want you to know that adoption, there is so much involved here. It's not simple, and there's a lot of complexity involved, and I think it's absolutely vital that as adoptive parents, you understand all of this before you bring the baby home, so you can think ahead and kind of prepare your heart for it. I am not making these videos to discourage parents from adopting, but I am making these videos because I really believe God has placed like these hearts in certain people to adopt, but at the same time, you must approach it in a very realistic way. And yeah, I hope this video can help you.